What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and we've got the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 in the house for an unboxing. We also have the Fold 4 and the watch. We'll be looking at those in a separate video, so if you want to see that first, do subscribe and hit that bell icon. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Flippy boy. The Flip 4, I've also got the Flip 3 with me, so we can unbox this and we can also see how it compares to its predecessor. So right away, you'll notice that we do have a slim box, and spoiler alert, like last year, we do not have a charger included out of the box, although the Flip 4 does support 25-watt charging, which is faster. And inside the box, as well as the device, you do get this pack with a quick start guide, a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, and a SIM card tool. Let's get the device out of its plastic. And here it is. We've got it here in this Bora purple color, which is the flagship color, but it is also available in a graphite, a pink gold, as well as a blue. There's also a bespoke edition of the Flip 4, which you can customize to your liking with the frame and different back panels. That's only available exclusively through Samsung.com. And if you are thinking of picking this up or pre-ordering it, there is an exclusive $200 Samsung credit that you can get using my affiliate link in the description below. Shameless plug there. Now let's just quickly bring in the Flip 3 for a comparison, and you'll notice immediately that the design is relatively unchanged. But the Flip 3 does have this glossy finish for the back, whereas the Flip 4 has a matte finish. Now, the Flip 3 did have one color, the black, which had a matte finish, but the rest of them were glossy. And the frame, the armor aluminium frame on the Flip 3 has a matte finish, whereas now we've got a glossy finish for the frame, so it's kind of inverted. Now, size-wise, they are roughly about the same, but the Flip 4 is slightly smaller in terms of the height and the width. You can also see that we've got this redesigned hinge. The Flip 4 also weighs a little bit more. Now, that is because of a slightly larger battery, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. Now, for the changes that you can't see, we do have Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the Flip 4 versus Gorilla Glass Victus, so this is going to be a little bit more durable. And as we had in the Flip 3 last year, the Flip 4 also has an IPX8 water resistant rating. This is absolutely mind-blowing, and I love the fact that we can now have foldables that have water resistance. Now, there isn't going to be dust resistance, so you still can get dust particles in here, so you're going to be a little bit more careful on this than you would do on a regular smartphone, but still great to see. Right, we're going to put the Flip 3 to the side while we examine the Flip 4 and all of the new features. So firstly, let's look at this cover display. It's roughly about the same size, 1.9 inches. However, there have been some enhancements. You can now add additional widgets. You can also reply to text messages with voice to text or using emojis and things like that. You can also get the Samsung wallet on here. So if you want to switch between different credit cards, for example, you'll be able to do that all here on this cover display. There is, of course, more to this cover display, but let's check out this main display, this beautiful folding display. So size-wise, this is roughly about the same, 6.7 inches. It is a dynamic AMOLED 2X display, full HD plus resolution with up to a 120 Hz refresh rate. This is a very nice display for a folding screen. Now, I'm sure Samsung said that the bezels are slightly smaller, but nothing hugely noticeable to my eyes. Now, a question that everybody always asks is, can you still see the crease? Yes, you can still see the crease, but for somebody who's already used folding devices many times before, this is something that you kind of just get used to, and it's not that much of a big deal as some people make it out to be. Now, when the display is open, you do have a punch out for the front-facing camera. This is a 10 megapixel selfie camera with an f2.4 aperture. However, one of my favorite things about the Flip 4 is the fact that you can use its rear-facing cameras, which are much higher quality, as front-facing cameras thanks to this cover display. Now, sure, the cover display isn't huge, but it's big enough to get a preview. You can also shoot from the ultra-wide camera, getting a different angle. And now you can also use the portrait mode from the rear-facing cameras for the front-facing camera, which is really good. Let's talk a little bit about these cameras, shall we? So we have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera. In terms of the hardware, it looks like it's pretty similar to what we had on the Flip 3. However, we do have a new image signal processor, which should improve images. The biggest improvement comes on the primary camera. So this is a 12 megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture and optical image stabilization. And this has larger pixels, so you will be able to capture 65% more light on those larger pixels compared to what we had on the Flip 3, which should make it great for nighttime shots and videos. Now, if you guys want to see camera samples and things like that, I will cover them in my full review of the Flip 3, which I'll be working on soon. You don't want to miss that, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Right, now let's take a quick look around the device. So at the bottom, we do have a USB Type-C input, as well as one of the two stereo speakers. So one we've got in the earpiece and one bottom firing. They do sound pretty good. On the left-hand side is the SIM card tray. And on the right-hand side, you've got the volume rocker as well as the side-mounted fingerprint scanner. This remains largely the same and it works really well. But some big improvements that we have on the Flip 4 are on the internals. So this is now powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset. So this is actually more of a powerful chipset compared to the S22 Ultra, for example. It's going to give you around 10% better CPU and GPU performance, as well as 30% more power efficiency. And that's something that's very important here on the Flip 4, because the Flip 3 didn't have excellent battery life, I'm going to be honest with you. It looks like Samsung has addressed this by not only giving us a more efficient chipset, but also a larger battery. We have a 3,700 milliamp hour battery on the Flip 4 compared to the 3,300 milliamp hour battery that we had on the Flip 3. Now I'm pretty optimistic about this, and hopefully that should mean that this will be an all-day device at least. And we do have faster charging compared to last year as well. So 25 watts wired charging, which you do have to get separately. However, that will get you from 0 to 50% in around 30 minutes. There is faster wireless charging now. Last year we had 10 watts. Now this can support 15 watts wireless charging, and we still do have wireless power share, so you can charge things like your earbuds on the back of the Flip 4. Now before we look at the price and the deals, let's talk a little bit about the software. So we do have Android 12 with One UI, but Samsung has spent a lot of time optimizing apps on the Flip 4. So if you've got the camera open, for instance, you can have it in flex mode. This is going to essentially allow you to use the Flip 4 as a bit of a tripod, so you can get everybody into your shots. But Samsung also want people to use this as a content creation tool. So they've been working closely with the likes of TikTok and Instagram. So if you are shooting a TikTok or a reel, for example, you can have this setup here where half the screen has what you're seeing, and then you have more controls here at the bottom, which is a really cool feature, I think. And these are the types of experiences that you really won't get on regular devices. Finally, let's talk about storage versions and pricing. So this does start at a base of 128 gigabytes. You can also get 256 or 512 gigabytes. Now the base model is going to start in the UK for around £50 more compared to what the Flip 3 started at. I guess inflation takes a part to that. However, in the US, it is still at $999. Now, if you do use my special link down in the description, you can get up to $200 credit, and you can also get a discount off the 256 gigabyte version. Samsung are also offering some crazy trade-in deals for pre-orders. You can even trade in cracked screen phones, which is pretty insane. So again, do check out that link if you're interested in getting this. What do I think of the Flip 3? I think it's a great device, and it does bring foldables to the mass market. Personally, I still would have liked to have seen a slightly larger cover display. I don't know, that's just me. But I am really happy to see the camera improvements, the feature improvements, the chipset, as well as the bigger battery. And I can't wait to spend more time with this. That's what I think anyway. What do you guys think? Do drop me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. As mentioned, I will be covering the Fold 4 in a separate video, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to see that first. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. As always, if you did, then do smash that like button from there. And if you want to see some related videos, I'll link those here in the cards. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time. Right, now we're going to put the Flip 3 to the side while we examine. Put this on Do Not Disturb. Yes, don't disturb me, you stupid thing.